Serious Sam HD Gold is the graphically updated reincarnation of Crow Team's classic first-person shooter. The Gold Edition is available on Steam and contains both the first and second encounter in HD and in its traditional form. Yes, there is a story in Serious Sam, but it's really not necessary. You are Sam Sirius Stone, picked to go back in time and stop all of the evil minions of Mental that have been sent back in time to destroy the human race. Most people I know are not even aware that Serious Sam has a story, but you can read a lot of it in the game's information database that grows as you encounter more enemies and situations. Are you a fan of the story, Tim?
No. I'll do whatever I can to avoid it at all costs, because my game shuts off enough as I play that.
Why?
Because nothing in this game makes sense. Giant robotic brain dinosaurs. All I do is just hold down the trigger. There's no thought required to defeating any of these enemies.
I don't think the story has to make sense.
Doesn't, but it's just, I don't know. I don't find it interesting or intriguing or anything else that might vaguely be construed as awesome.
Brandon, what do you think of the story?
There really much isn't a story, but I like it. I love the game. Lots and lots of fun.
Speaking of fun, it's Serious Sam, pretty much. There's not a whole lot more to say about it. It remains, as far as I can tell, completely untouched from the original Serious Sam gameplay. And personally, that's exactly what I wanted. It's a mindless shooter with massive hordes of crazy-looking monsters. The game will definitely be a challenge by yourself, but really this is a game made for multiple people. Like, typically we start up a co-op server with infinite ammo and infinite respawns and the difficulty and number of monsters cranked up. It's more fun that way.
Oh yes.
We also have a lot of fun with all the hidden secrets around the levels. I've been playing Serious Sam for years and it seems like I find something new on every playthrough.
Is that really true?
It has been for me. Like that there was that thing with the giant eyes floating in the sky that turned into a giant endless kamikaze monster thingy.
What?
See?
See, nothing makes sense.
Okay, so what do you think of the gameplay?
It's as simplistic as it can get. There's you run, and you pull the trigger, and you shoot things, and you make sure that you can shoot things long enough so that
sums it up.
It's definitely no Stalker.
No, it isn't. Or Bad Company 2 for that matter.
In addition to the standard co-op deathmatch, team deathmatch, and capture the flag, a survival mode has been added. It's basically the same as co-op though, only you're in one place and you see how long you can stay alive while having hordes of monsters thrown at you.
Okay.
In my opinion, while the gameplay is about as far removed from realism as humanly possible, it's possibly some of the most fun you can have with 2 to 16 people.
Yes.
It's crazy, sir. Just crazy.
The game runs on the new Serious Engine 3 and it looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, it may not be Crysis 2, but it's up there with any modern first-person shooter. The downside to how beautiful it looks is that for the first encounter, the engine beautifully renders miles and miles of sandy desert landscape with tan mountains and brown buildings. There are a few leafy areas in between, but for the most part, the first encounter is all desert.
Second encounter is much more interesting.
It is.
It's much more fun, better guns, I say.
And this isn't to say that the levels are badly designed. In fact, the awesome level design is a part of what makes the game so replayable. It just all starts to look the same after a while.
I don't really care for the most of the first encounter. After I played the second encounter, I really saw how much better it really was.
The second encounter solves a lot of those problems by making everything more detailed and green, and also splitting the game into 3 different time periods to keep the levels fresh.
Yep.
It really split it up into different time periods?
Yep. Obviously, you're not paying attention to the story, but you're trying to find portals because Mental has jumped ahead of you in time and you're trying to follow him. And you start off in Mayan times, and then you move on to Persia, and then you move up to the medieval ages. Does any of that ring a bell? The 3 different areas.
Does for me.
I don't recall ever being in the medieval ages.
The big
Come on.
Maybe we didn't finish that with Tim.
No, because Tim left, and then we played with Lee. Not Lee, Paul, no?
Yeah, somebody.
Yes.
Yep.
All the sound effects are taken right from the classic Serious Sam games, as they should be. The sound was good then, and it brings a feeling of nostalgia to the updated engine.
The only thing different it does is the graphics. That's it.
But that's what I wanted out of it.
I'm not saying that's not what you wanted out of it. I'm just saying that there's no reason for anything to have changed.
Don't fix what ain't broken.
Agree.
Well, that's debatable. If it is broken, I guess it shoots what it's aiming for, though. It doesn't try to be anything else.
Overall, this is the Serious Sam that we all know and love. It just looks a lot better. Also, now that it's integrated with Steam, it's quite simple for anyone to host a server and get right into playing with your pals. The game does have a few downsides, however, the biggest of which being that it can get pretty boring to play by yourself, and there being the somewhat repetitive style of the first encounter. The campaigns for the first encounter and second encounter will probably last you 5 to 8 hours each on your first playthrough, but we've done speedruns that last about 2.5 hours per campaign. I would definitely recommend this game to anyone who is a fan of the classic style shooters like Doom, Quake, or Painkiller.
Why does that kind of gameplay a classic style?
Because that's what it started out as. Back when the first-person shooters were like Doom, and Quake, and Wolfenstein, and there wasn't like all this Call of Duty nonsense.
Call of Duty nonsense.
So Tim, give your overall opinion of the game.
It's like a mindless summer blockbuster. It looks nice, but it takes no mindness to play it at all. That's the way I look at it. And there's no reason to watch it alone. It's something that you only watch with your friends.
Brandon?
Agreed. Playing it with your friends is a lot better because, pretty much you don't have to take hordes and hordes of guys on at one time by yourself.
Brandon, out of 10.
Probably a 9.5.
Wow.
And your reasoning behind it?
It's a good game with your friends.
Tim, what would you rate it?
7.
I'm gonna have to give it an 8.5 out of 10 because in spite of all its flaws, it's still fun.